I've got to the point now where I don't really mind if people think I'm bonkers. And accepting the fact that we are an ongoing, constant work in progress, it gives us the ability to let go and surrender to it, really shine our lights out there. And I know I'm always talking about, trying to keep your lights shining bright, but I just see it as being, a really important part of this whole process that we call life. So welcome to a new video, beautiful souls. In this video I'm sharing with you the happenings and my ponderings on what is turning out to be a rather bumpy time. I know I don't need to be feeling good to show up here, and that's such a lovely feeling. My light is definitely dimmer than usual, just a small twinkle of fairy lights, but I'm showing up anyway. To be honest, some days that has felt brave and quite hard, but thanks for keeping me in such good company. I've arrived at the studio. I'm showing up and doing my best. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to get achieved, especially now because the heating's not working. And if you've been around here a little while, you know that that's quite a common occurrence in the building I'm in. So if worst comes to the worst and I can't be bothered to be freezing, basically, I'm going to go home because I've got lots of things at home that I could be getting on with from the bed office and drinking out of my flask this morning. I have no idea what's going to be in this vlog this week, so it could be like a pick and mix. So far this week I've got James is away, so he's not here, so I'm all on my own, so that's all happening again. And I've got an appointment tomorrow, another Bowen treatment, which I'm having to help heal my back. And what else have I got going on? Friday I've got an appointment to get my laptop sorted out at the Apple Shop Genius Bar. So hopefully there is a genius there that can help me, because Thunderbug flew last summer in between my screen, unfortunately died because I couldn't get out, and so I've got this little blob on my screen, which isn't very good. They've already said to me on the phone that they consider, listen to this is funny, the Apple Shop consider insects to be hazardous substances and don't deal with them. James suggested that we risk it and go in anyway and see if we can get anything done. If you have any insights on why it might be hazardous material, I'm not sure. It made James and I smile anyway. In all honesty, I've just been to the loo. Being a girl, being female, need to, maybe take more clothes off than maybe the boys do. And it's cold in there, really cold. When you've got sore, achy hips, it's even worse. So I'm thinking I might cut and run. Please don't judge me for doing that, because it is really, really cold in here. And maybe, yes, I should be, and actually am, pondering on different alternatives for a studio that could tick the heating box maybe. What's the point in paying anything when I can't actually use the space because it's too blooming cold? So that's a really important point, isn't it? I think maybe have a coffee first. Should we have a coffee? Oracle card of the day is this one. And it's from this oracle, the fairy Fairy Oracle by Doreen Virtue. And this was a gift that I received yesterday, all the way from someone in Hawaii. Little Miss Janine, you know who you are, and I'm, yeah, loving this. Cute as. And that was the first card I pulled. Everything's okay. Don't worry, it's all working out in a beautiful way. The fairies know that you're concerned about the outcome of this situation, so they've sent this card as a reassurance that everything's working out in a divinely perfect way. Take steps to uplift your outlook and unburden your heart and mind, such as taking a nature walk, spending time with loved ones, exercising, or enjoying a creative project. The more you can stay centered and filled with faith, the better the outcome you'll experience. Additional meanings for this card: write down your concerns on paper and then ceremoniously dispose of the list by burning it, pouring water over it, or burying it. Sometimes I do that and then I pour ink all over it, scrunch it up, tear it up, and collage it into my journal. That works too. Talk to the people involved in order to double check your facts. Your worries may be based on untrue assumptions. Very true. Make sure that you're getting enough rest and eating healthfully. Also true, as physical strain can lead to anxiety and exhaustion. Yes, don't we just know that? But it's nice to have the reminder. Thank you very much, Doreen, for that. It's not very warm in here. For some reason, even when the heating's on, I do a big sigh here. My room, and I've got a thermometer in here now because James got me one, is 18 degrees, and it doesn't seem to get beyond that. The woes of an old building. And yes, I've done that thing where you can get the key and bleed the radiator and stuff. I have my nice studio cardi, very warm, knitted by my very own mama. So thanks to mum, because it's like having a mum hug even when I'm not with her. So, because I'm still missing her like mad. Can't remember what I was going to talk to you about this morning, so it can't have been that important. So last night I was writing poems, and I wrote a fairy poem for the full moon, and yeah, I quite liked it. I often write poems, but then I don't really like them so much, and I kind of put them in my journals and things like that. I don't know if I'm actually going to get to painting anything today. I'm just looking at my painting over there right now. Yes, I don't know if I'm going to actually be touching her today. I might do some inspiration downloads, if you like, sit and percolate with her basically, talk to her a little bit. I know you might think I'm a little bit bonkers, but it really helps. So if you haven't tried it, if you're having difficulty with a painting and it's giving you some headaches and challenges, maybe have a nice warm cup of tea or something as well with it. I often say things like, what would you like to acquire in the painting? What additions do I need to make? Are there corrections you would like me to make? Sometimes it's hair colour, sometimes it's objects, like symbolically crows and doves and things like that come into play. It's a very interesting process, so don't knock it till you've tried it, even if you think it's a bit bonkers. I've got to the point now where I don't really mind if people think I'm bonkers. Yes, and I know I'm in really, really good company in here, and I know I'm not the only one that is perhaps considered a little bit bonkers. Whether or not we're actually bonkers, even though we've always maybe felt a little bit like a misfit, like we didn't quite fit in, that doesn't necessarily mean we are bonkers. We might be the more normal ones. Yes, you know what I mean. Anyway, I think you might be able to tell I'm in a bit of a funny mood, in a good way actually, and I think it's partly because I'm trying to take care of myself in this tunnel of pain that I've been in since the end of November. So it's been quite some time, and so I've been managing that pain in different ways, and one of the ways I found to do it is to be in a silly mood, make myself laugh. So here's my what I've been working on. I'll probably put a picture up because that's probably not going to come out very well on camera, but I thought I would read you my poem because I haven't done a reading of it out loud and I need to know how it sounds anyway. Full Moon Fairies, and of course it's full moon today. I think I've been inspired by the actual full moon magics, as well as the fairies of course. When the full moon arises in the indigo sky, look out vigilantly and you might just spy the glimpse and the shimmer of wee fairy wings, all the marvellous charms they care to you bring. Their dresses are made of thread gossamer light that glitters under full moonbeams so bright, delicately dancing, weaving magic enchanted. Beneath shimmering stars, your wishes are granted. I warn, don't be fooled by their minuscule size or the radiant beauty that may hypnotize. Be cautious to honour their ethereal essence. Give a gift, take a bow in their mischievous presence. Offer honey and cream in cups made of flowers. Bestow silver bells and embroidered silk trousers. Remember to pause, not get lost in a spiral, and soak in the magic to memory eternal. All inspired by the full moon and the little fairies. So I wrote that last night and I couldn't go to sleep until I finished it because I was having some kind of download of inspiration, and it was, yeah, really fun. And I think I'm going to make postcards, so I'm going to do an order and get some postcards sent off because that might be quite cute. I'm very inspired by words and embedding them somehow within the art, so I'm probably going to, let's see, put some words into my painting over here. Yes. And in fact, an inspired fairy poem was how my whole YouTube journey began, because I put a video up maybe 6 years ago now. That's a long time, isn't it? And I haven't been uploading regularly to YouTube for that long. I think it's only 2.5 years. But I did put a random video up all that time ago. It was kind of for two purposes, really. Yes, I wanted to share my poem because I'd been house sitting in Llandudno for 3 dogs and a parrot with James, and we had a big bus at that point. It was a really old Heimer. It had like a back bedroom, dining room, little kitchen, and its own shower. Anyway, it was big because we were living on it, apart from when we were doing these intermittent house sits. Anyway, Llandudno is where Lewis Carroll, in case you didn't know, Lewis Carroll became really inspired and wrote the Alice stories. And in fact, he used to look down at the bay at the real Alice. And as we walked on what's called the Great Orme, have to Google that on the maps and have a look, because it's literally like living on a really wild island. It gets very extreme weather, and so when there was a storm, you really felt you were in the storm. Cut a long story short, I became very inspired and had lots of downloads for art, poems, writings, musings. This poem that I read 6 years ago came out, and that was my first appearance, if you like, on YouTube, my first tentative steps of putting myself out there. And if you've seen my Q&A video, you'll also know in the sort of 5 things you might not know about me, one of the things I mentioned, which people found really surprising, was that I was very self-conscious of my speaking voice. And so the other reason of putting that poem up was to, be brave and step outside my comfort zone. And so it was a little mission of me to actually put it out there. I'll link it up there anyway if you want to go back in time a little bit, but it's the very first video on my channel. The fairies don't regularly come and visit me to give me poems. They usually give me paintings and ideas for images I want to make. Every now and again, intermittently, they come back, they help me with some poems, and I like to honour that. And then I can weave the ideas, words and phrases into other offerings that I put together, into the layers of my paintings or into my posts on social media and things like that. It all kind of comes up. And the poem for me is all about mindfulness and being in the moment. That's the kind of message I got from it. So anyway, I'm going to get on with something. Yes, as much as I love talking to you, I do need to get on with something. Keep waking up and it's snowing. I don't know if you can actually see if it's actually picking up. I'm making juice. That's what I'm gonna do. It's kind of like a little flurry, a little bit of a blizzard. That's getting a little bit crazy. Cheers. I know what you're going to say. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. See if I can get this a little bit. So it's freezing cold in here, and I'm seriously pondering on a different studio for a few reasons. So we'll see what happens with that. Suffice to say, it's just a bit silly, really. I don't know if I've got an email saying, you know, hello everyone, there's no heating today. I don't know. I'm not seeing anything. I'm not sure it's conducive to my creativity. Cheers to you this morning. I haven't been vlogging for the past few days because I've not been very good, basically. Anyone that's lived with ongoing pain, I won't say chronic, but I will say it's bad enough to wake me up in the night, and it's constant. It's been a good few months now, so for me it's been since about November. I also appreciate that, you know, there's far worse things in life than back pain, and, you know, I'm not trying to be the poor me here, so I'm just trying to be honest about where I'm at. And I think it's one of those things, isn't it, with human experience, that if it's out of our normal realms of what we're used to, then things can feel better or worse depending. So what I'm saying is it's relative, isn't it, to what we're used to. I think that aside, a lot of people do suffer with chronic pain, and so, you know, soft hugs to you. For me right now, I would say that I'm getting fed up. There has been some tearful days, and also, you know, dealing with the pain. It's exhausting. I know many of you will understand firsthand, if you like, why I haven't been talking to you for the last few days. Anyway, I'm back now. I have been in the studio a little bit, and I have been working on my lady paintings over there. I'm working in my journal today. That's the plan of today. I've got a few things that I want to, you know, get down in here. And I'm all upside down as well. One of the things to say here about, you know, living with pain and the challenges that that brings, it also can show you how resilient you can be, and you can create all sorts of new, unthought of tools for the toolbox, if you like. And it gives you a confidence. I have a newfound confidence in my coping mechanisms, if you like. And so it kind of, it's like a safety thing. It feels really safe, if that makes sense. Anyway, you'll have to let me know in the comments if, you know, this resonates with anyone, because even though many things right now are not easy, there are ways round things, and we find a way, don't we? We are resilient beings. So yeah, pats on the back to all of us is what I'm saying. Kind of comes around to what I was saying in the car to you the other day, that I had to cut the sound out because it was, yeah, so bad. But it was all about catching up on the vans that I showed you maybe in the last video. You know, how appropriate would it be to have a big bus / studio? Because I'm kind of thinking that would be a really nice way to go. And I've been having a chat with my Patreons about this as well. And I think for me right now, I live in a situation where I don't have a driveway or anywhere indeed to park a big bus. And so it would end up in storage quite a lot, which is not ideal. And I don't have a friendly farmer friend who, you know, has a field, who they could, you know, rent me a spot on their field, so I'd have a nice idyllic view as well. I guess the other thing about a big bus as well is it would restrict travel because of access, so windy roads and mountainous roads and things like that, and smaller places, smaller villages, and also, you know, fuel economy. So there's lots of things to consider when you're thinking about the size of your van. Pondering's going on, and also, you know, being open to the situation of a home studio. I've talked about this before, and indeed anybody that's been around here a little while might remember that I have been on the hunt, not in a rushed manner, but certainly seeking, on a quest to find a new home. And we're currently in a flat, and I don't have a garden because I'm on the first floor, so I'd love a garden, and so would James. And it would be nice as well to have maybe a garage or a shed, a man cave, if you like. Telling you all sorts of stuff today, aren't I? I don't have any news or updates about a van yet. Watch this space, maybe. But if I go and have a look around any properties or vans, I will share it with you on here, because it's always fun, isn't it, to see what's out there, especially if we're in different parts of the world, I always think anyway. In my current scenario of feeling quite fragile and a little bit exhausted from everything that I explained, I am going to take it easy today and give myself the absolute freedom to slow down. You know, I personally can't get creative when I'm, you know, coming from a place of overwhelm or pressure. So I just need to take a moment for myself and give myself that permission to not criticize myself so heavily, if I'm not productive. Oh my goodness, it's that thing, isn't it? People have to be productive. I'm reading lots of articles and lots of people are calling it toxic productivity. I kind of think about it a little bit like the great hustle. And so I'm stepping away from anything to do with that because it diminishes, restricts my creativity. One of the things I get asked all the time about my journaling and my art journaling is, how do you start? What's the trigger of the idea? And I suppose I'm just popping back in here just to say what I was talking to you about a minute ago in regards to, giving yourself permission and giving yourself the freedom to slow down and not chase after this great hustle and the productivity thing where we must be, active all the time and achieving things and ticking things off the list and all that stuff. And so this is where my thinking is going with my journaling session that I'm about to do now, and also thinking about the other side of things as well, where we're conditioned that, if we're not doing things all the time, that we are considered and labelled lazy. And this is very detrimental to our well-being and mental health and all sorts of other things as well, because it's simply not the case. You might remember one of my videos from last summer, which is one of my favourite videos actually that I've ever made, which was called The Lost Art of Doing Nothing, La Dolce Fa Niente in Italian, and indeed in different languages. I did a post on this on my Instagram and Facebook a week or so ago, but basically, with all the different languages, and it's in ancient Chinese tradition, it's in German, it's in Dutch, it's completely international, and yet the common consensus is that we're all in the rat race. And I know we've all got bills to pay, and the bills are ridiculous right now, and the world's gone completely bonkers, and I don't need to tell anyone in here about that. We're all experiencing it, aren't we? For me, I want to try and step outside of that and try and pull back and observe what's actually going on for myself, within my own constraints, obviously, because I like you have bills to pay as well, and I'm saving up because I'd really like to move house and I'd really like to get a van or / art bus, and so the money element comes into it as well, and that restricts certain things. I know, I appreciate that, but at the same time, within our own limitations, to actually look outside the box, get rid of the box, if you like, instead of being boxed into all these ideas. It's like if someone was sat in my room right now and having a chat and saying, look, I disagree with you, Wendy, being inactive is definitely lazy and you're wrong, it's counterproductive to human well-being. I would love that conversation with somebody right now, because I'd sock it to them, because I don't believe it to be true. In fact, I know it's not true. So if you need a gentle reminder about slowing down and giving yourself the freedom to do that, you have to allow yourself. It's real permission, and that's where the freedom of it is. And that's where the magic happens, because that's where you can have a rest, so you can restore well-being. You can also create spaces in your mind and think outside the box, and it's where creative ideas can pop in. I've got a few crazy ideas just ticking over in the background, and I will share them with you when the time is right, definitely. But right now it's just I've got things ticking in the background, and I like to give myself a bit of space in order to do that, and not just be on this complete autopilot thing of ticking things off lists and productivity and getting stuff done. There are elements of getting stuff done that are important. So within that, there's certain levels of discipline, and I know some people have a problem with that word. I think it's more of a devotion to things. So if it's a devotion to self-care, then you will spend time and you will put the effort into putting your yoga mat down, for example. But at the same time, a gentle discipline to approach life with more spaces than you think you need. And we've all done that thing, haven't we, where we've planned a project and we plan it in quite a detailed way and we think we've got our heads around everything. And then when it comes to putting it all into practice, we find that things take more time than we presumed. So things overrun, and that's when the overwhelm can kick in, isn't it? But yeah, soft reminder, if you please, to create those spaces where you can and see what happens. And it's almost like, I know that we know this already, but we need these little reminders, and I think I need them too. And so maybe that's why I'm sharing them all with you. Yes. I think for me this year, it's all about compassion and grace and showing those qualities to each other, taking care of each other in that way, and also ourselves. And sometimes I know it's not possible to fill our own cups first, and so we're overflowing and giving from the saucer. I think sometimes, you know, we're in a situation where we have to care for someone else or do something for someone else before filling our own cups, and it can be quite difficult because we get quite depleted and exhausted. Our bodies will react to that. You know, maybe that's what's going on with me as well with my back. Something going on that's not quite fixed yet, so I need to work all that out as well, and that's kind of what I'm doing in my journal too. This self-development spiral, if you like, I think about it as a spiral because we do go backwards as well and forwards within that process. It's all about being a constant work in progress, isn't it? A bit like, you know, one of my paintings. And sometimes it's not a comfortable place to be, but if we sit with things long enough, even if it's uncomfortable, we can move forwards and keep moving forwards in hopefully the right directions. I love the phrase, "this too shall pass," and how the passing of time encapsulates, if you like, a healing process that occurs. You know, life isn't happy and joyful all the time. We know this. And so we shouldn't expect it to be. We can keep our focus on the good things, on things to look forward to, on the difficulties and the challenges passing, and we can process it all with the best tool in the toolbox, which is the journal, definitely. The more I'm going through this process this morning with my journaling, the more I'm feeling like I'm just so similar to being a painting and a work in progress, and accepting the fact that we are an ongoing, constant work in progress. It gives us the ability to let go and surrender to it, really shine our lights out there. And I know I'm always talking about, you know, trying to keep your lights shining bright, but I just see it as being, you know, a really important part of this whole process that we call life. And I feel the realization that allowing ourselves to be the work in progress really unlocks the true potential to shine. There's a couple of quotes as well. Some of us think holding on makes us strong, but sometimes it is letting go. And that's Hermann Hesse. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find your strength. And that one's by Marcus Aurelius. So at the end of the day, my lessons learned from living with constant pain for quite a few months now, it has to be said that accepting that I am a work in progress is something to be really proud of, and maybe you should be too, because I don't need to tell you or anyone else, indeed, that life is pretty bumpy right now. And I wrote this in my journal as well. Being a work in progress is something to be proud of. It means that you are actively pursuing self-improvement and growth. It takes courage and determination to recognise areas of your life that need improvement and to take action to make the positive changes. Self-improvement is a continuous journey, not a one-time event. Each day provides a new opportunity to learn, grow, and become a better version of yourself. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small, and be patient with yourself when you make mistakes or encounter setbacks. Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone and try new things. You may discover hidden talents and strengths that you never knew you had. Embrace challenges and obstacles as lessons and opportunities for growth. Never give up on yourself. And finally, remember that self-improvement is not a competition. It's always about striving to be the best version of yourself without comparing yourself to others. So focus on your own journey and trust that with commitment and dedication, you will achieve great things, and not always what you expect, and become the person that you want to be. I am going to go back to my fairies now, and I'm going to leave you in peace for now. Try to keep your lights shining bright, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.